I'd like you to welcome our legend to the stage, former Ireland coach, Eddie O'Sullivan. How you Eddie? How you doing?
Tom, how are you doing?
Are you excited about today?
Oh, yeah, this is the one I think we knew we'd be here at this stage, 2 out of 2. This is the one to really find out where we are.
I mean, that's the thing. We barely scraped by France. Against Italy, we leaked 3 tries. Where do you feel? We're apparently 7 points up on the bookies. Can you see it?
7 points is generous. I think it might even be tighter. And I think if we don't get a few things right, we'll lose the game. It's going to be a really difficult one. I mean, we knew we'd be, as I said, 2 wins from 2 at this stage. I think this is where the championship really starts. Wales, Scotland and England. And this one is a very tricky one. I think people thought at the start of the championship, Wales missing 7 or 8 players, they'd struggle. But the fact that they got off to a flyer in Cardiff against Scotland, the fact that they feel that we're kind of cheated out of Twickenham, will give them a lot. Even though they were disappointed, they'll be happy enough that they're in a good place, and they've got a few guys back again today, and they know as well that if they lose today, it's over. The championship's gone. So there's an awful lot riding on this game for Wales.
And they're not going to be frightened coming to Dublin either, given their record.
Well, certainly with so many Scarlets in the team, like 6 of the backline are Scarlets, and then the one exception is Dan Bigger, who's, again, certainly going to add to it.
Yeah.
So I think they're quietly confident themselves, and in some case, not so quietly confident. I think their scrum half said they were hoping to get a bonus point win today.
So this is, we lost 3 Lions over the last course of the 2 weeks. They're after getting a couple back and everything else. Is that where they're going to target? Who are they going to? Are they going to go after Porter? Do you reckon? In the immortal words of Eddie O'Sullivan, are they going to take him to the woodshed?
They'll go after us in a few places. They'll certainly go after the scrum because to see whether Porter's up for it or not.
Yeah.
So that's one. I don't think they'll have the same focus on the line-up because Toner's playing. If Ian Henderson was fit, I think Schmidt might have gone for Ryan and Henderson the second row because of their ball carrying ability around the field. But I think that would have left the line out a little bit vulnerable because Alan Wynne-Jones is such a good line out technician.
Yeah.
Well, I think with Toner there, I wouldn't worry about the line out. They'll certainly go after Sexton and Murray if they can get at them, but I think that'll be difficult. They're so experienced. But I think the place they'll really test us is in the midfield with Bundy, Aki and Farrell, who are completely untested in Six Nations.
What do you reckon what's his brief going to be this morning, coming from Joe? Like, what's it going to be?
I think the biggest challenge from today is going to be his defence.
Yeah.
Look, he's really the 4th choice outside centre.
Yeah.
When you think that, Jarrah Payne is out,
Ringrose
Henshaw's out, Ringrose is out, and I think the jury is out on Farrell's defensively as an outside centre.
Yeah.
So I think they'll certainly visit those precincts today with a view of seeing can they get any dividends there. So I think if Farrell defends well today, everything else is a bonus.
Do you think we could close them down at that point? Because we have been struggling out wide, haven't we, in the last couple of games?
Well, that's the thing, like we saw what happened to Scotland and Cardiff when they didn't defend well.
Yeah.
These guys will score tries. They won't waste opportunities. So I think our game today starts with defence. Defending Wales and then controlling the pace of the game. If Wales play the game they want to play, it's going to be a long day.
Where have we been? Is it systematic or is it a thing we can actually sort that we have been? I mean, the likes of the Teddy Thomas try, your man just carved us up for fun. And we leaked 3 tries. Was that a case that some of the bench was coming on and all the rest of it? Or would you have fear of Jacob Stockdale's actual defence abilities?
I don't think it's that simple that it was late in the game and we'd a few guys off the bench and we were winning by 20 points. I think particularly the try inside our own 22, Italy got a similar try 2 years ago. So there's been issues there.
Yeah.
Every so often we get into our own 22, we condense around the ruck too much and leave the space out wide. The kick chase was a problem in Paris, was a problem against Italy. And then we made a couple of mistakes by having too many players on the short side. So there are things that shouldn't be happening. Now they've had 2 weeks to put these fixes in, and that's Andy Farrell's job is to make those fixes. And you'd like to think that they've figured those things out. But we'll find out in the next hour and a half if they have or not. But I'll tell you one thing, if they haven't, they'll be exposed.
This is probably, as they call it, the bogey team more than anything else, because they can carve you apart, this crowd.
Well, it's been nip and tuck between Ireland and Wales for the last probably 10 years. But I think in recent times, Wales have had the edge. They've won more than they've lost, so it's kind of in their favour at the moment. But look, there's not much in it. Then there's home advantage for us. I mean, there's no doubt going to Cardiff is a completely different prospect.
Yeah, of course.
In Dublin. So I think that we're here is certainly an advantage. And I wouldn't just say, you were at home. It actually makes a big difference.
Do you reckon there'll be a sourness, or was it all just smoke and mirrors the time with Sean O'Brien's comments back in the time, or is that just Gatlin playing games himself? Like,
no, I think that one in particular would bring an edge to it, because if Wales play well today and score some tries and open up the game, it would be an opportunity for Rob Howley to have said, well, I'm not such a bad coach after all.
Of course, they've been bigging him up all week, of course, saying how great he was and everything else. Like,
well, that's always happens. Like, trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube,
We need more analogies like that from Eddie. So where are we going to? I mean, whatever about our defence and everything else, where are we going to have our strengths today over them?
I think we'll have to be very much in control of the pace of the game. We'll have to play a good field position. I think we can't really depend on the contestable kicks as much, because if you look at their back three, particularly Williams and Halfpenny, they'll be very comfortable. So if we're going to kick contestables, they'll have to be on the money. I don't think we'll get the ball back out of a lot of them. We'll maybe get out of our own half.
Okay,
so that's got to be very solid. We've got to not muck around our own half. I think you'll see us playing a very conservative game in our own half.
Yeah.
But then when we get in there, it'll be about what Ireland do well is be attritional, hold on to the ball and just take Wales through as many phases as necessary and be patient, not try and force the game. And we might get penalties, we might get a line break, but it'll be very hard work because they give up 2 penalties against England.
2 penalties, I mean, that's unbelievable.
So we probably have to go a bit attritional against them and be very patient, but not muck around in our own half against these guys, because if we turn ball over, they'll pay a big price. You buying into the hype of Jacob Stockdale? I mean, he's a scorer, but I mean... He's a great finisher, but his form dipped after his first caps in the autumn, which is not unusual. But I think he does have a point to prove today defensively, if nothing else.
And what about the bench? Would you have picked that bench? What's your faith in Joey Carberry? I mean, let's be honest, he's played next to nothing, and he hasn't played anything at 10.
I think he's very little rugby played. If he had to go into the game early today, you'd worry.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously very talented, but he's very little rugby played, so I think there's a risk factor in him if he's to come in early. If things are going well, he comes off the bench, he could make things happen.
Yeah.
But if he goes in a pressure situation, I just worry that he hasn't the experience.
Would you have put him in there, or would you put Keighley in? Because Keighley's been on song.
I think on form you'd have to go with him. I think he's got an edge on Keighley for sure.
Right-o. I mean, Fergus McFadden is always there, and he has been slogging away good enough, so I suppose he's the backup to Stockdale if he implodes.
Well, McFadden can cover a few positions as well. That's always a factor on the bench. It's not just like for like. You've got to see, if you had an injury, where would you go? And I think for that reason he gets the nod.
What about the loop play that Ireland keep on trying? That's going to be sniffed out today, surely?
Well, I think the French shut it down pretty well in Paris, and I think the Welsh will have a plan for shutting that down. So I think we're going to have to come up. What we did last year at the back end of the championship is we started using a second playmaker.
Yeah.
That happened to be Jarrah Payne. So instead of all the play going through Sexton, some of the players went through Jarrah Payne. I'd like to think today that we'll go down that road a bit and maybe try and get a second playmaker. Who that will be, though, is a problem.
Because, to be fair, Aki's hands weren't great the last day. He dropped 3 balls to the deck.
Probably looking at someone like Rob Kearney, he'd have to step into that position. But we've never seen him do that before, so it'll be a new role for him. And
you were saying that they will target the scrum, but do you think Porter is the real deal?
Well, yeah, but the question is he the real deal at this stage in his career? This is a big one for him. If he comes through today, he certainly have proved this case,
There's and obviously, I mean, other than that, I think we're pretty evenly matched. Other than the handful that we're actually missing and all that, and the untested ones like the likes of Farrell and all that. I mean, Earls has been playing out of his skin. Is it a case of get the ball to Earls?
Well, if we get the ball to him, he'll do damage. At the moment, he's that confidence about him as a wing. Every time he gets the ball, he makes inroads. Question is, can we get it to him often enough and in the right parts of the field?
Lovely stuff.
That'll be. He could be a guy that changes the game if we can get the ball in his hands at the right time.
Brilliant. All right. Well, fingers crossed. So they're lining out. They're about to do the anthems. We're going to go straight to Eddie, and we may as well ask you out straight. What do you make of it, Eddie? And how are we going to play? How are we going to win? Essentially.
I think, as I said, we've got to control the pace of the game, but I still think even with that, it's going to be awful tight. And the open exchanges will set the tone. If we're physical with these guys and getting the front foot, I think we have a control of them. But if we're not winning collisions, I think it could come back to bite us at the end of the game.
So pin of the collar stuff. Going to ask you for a prediction because I have to do it.
I'd say Ireland by 3 or less even.
That's good enough for us. All right, gang, we'll see you back at half-time. Thank you very, very much. Good luck. Welcome back to Heineken Rugby Club Live. I'd like to welcome back to the stage our Irish rugby legend, Mr. Eddie O'Sullivan. Well, Eddie, that was a moment, wasn't it?
It's not over yet.
Yeah. It's to be fair, so far, it seems to be we seem to be doing all the right things, bar that last 5%. We see. What is it? Is it nerves? Is it inexperience?
Well, Wales are very hard to break down. They scramble very well, even when you get in behind them. But I thought it was interesting the whole first 40 minutes. I thought we dominated the first quarter, but we hadn't scored. I mean, Sexton had missed 3 kicks, and then Wales come back and they score a try, and then they're back in the game. But I think the response there just for half-time is massive. That's a massive score. There's
been some really standout performances. Ireland have had all the real standout performances so far. The likes of Chris Farrell is really paying off, isn't he?
Well, he's doing what he does well. He carries into contact. He's a big, big man, and he's winning collisions. I think Ireland in attack at the moment are looking very dangerous because they're able to win series of collisions, and then they're always likely to get out the back, maybe to Earls, who's had a big impact as well, and Stockdale's done pretty well. But I mean, in terms of the balance of the game, we needed that score just for half-time. Anything would have done, but it's great that it was a try. That changes everything.
I suppose, given the fact that we saw it there, we had nearly 70% of the possession, it would be cruel to try and come back out in the second half, wouldn't it?
It would, but I think this worrying aspect is that the ease at which Wales scored their try.
Yeah. Was that a lapse in concentration, or was it genuinely a high standard?
It's hard to know because they scored after like 3 or 4 phases and they won all the collisions, which is worrying. If they get those field positions again, we'll see. But I do think we have to look at our defence. We dominated possession, which means we're not having to defend very much. So we're not sure where we are in defence yet.
And you still reckon that Jackson, we got the rub of the green with Jackson today. Like, was there any points that genuinely you thought, all right, we're after getting out of jail that time?
Well, there was a build-up there. There was a fumble that was, he missed it and it came back. But a few things like that have just bounced our way. Mind you, the Rob Kearney kicking the ball out of the tackle, he missed that as well. Except I think that the assistant referee spotted that. But overall, I think we're in a good place based on that score just for half-time. But there's a long road to travel yet. I mean, Wales will get some dominance in the second half. Of
course they're going to hit
happens,
you know. So you don't reckon there'll be the hairdryer treatment, as they say, from Joe at the half-time. What do you reckon the messages will be?
No, I think as well had Sexton had his kicking boots on the first 20 minutes, we'd be in a much better place than we are. But look, you can't change that. I think what they'll do is they'll realise that if they hold on to possession in the Welsh half and play very aggressively, the breaks will come. They'll pick up penalties. Even that try, they were on an advantage there. That was a definite 3-pointer. So just to build the pressure on Wales and make them leak tries or penalties, that's the way to play here. We don't have to take any risks, and we haven't really. We moved the ball one side of our own half from a maul, and that's doable because there's more defenders in the maul. But I think we're on the right track here. But we just have to be a bit more clinical with a few turnovers in the first quarter that hurt us.
Yeah, I mean, Aki has had a bit of a rattly one. I know he paid for himself there by getting that try. We were just talking about it, and it's probably a little off topic, a small bit. But you probably believe that somebody like Niall Scannell is actually probably or Rory Scannell is probably a bit hard done by.
Yeah, I do. I think Scannell has been outstanding. He's a superb footballer. He's been pegged as an inside centre. I think he could make an impact at outside centre, but he's not in the plans, so there's much he can do. I think we've gone for power in the midfield now, given that we have a few guys missing. And certainly Farrell has brought that. He's been very impressive in his carries. He's a very big guy, and he's been winning collisions. And I think against Wales, it's not a bad strategy to take them on physically and kind of wear them down. And we're going to do a lot more of that in the second half, but that's the way forward for us. If the game gets very loose, it won't suit us.
What do you reckon? I mean, we've often prided ourselves on being fitter than most teams, but we're not going to be fitter than these lads. So where do you see it going in the deep waters of 65, 70 minutes?
Well,
where do we need to be?
The bench could be a factor. They have Tuperick to come off the bench.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Who could be crucial at the breakdown. There was an argument for him maybe being in there at the very start because of that reason. But I think in terms of fitness, there's no difference between the teams. They'll both be able to go to the wire. I think when you see a game like this, that's a very emotional game.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a couple of big moments in the second half that's going to probably determine the outcome. Somebody scoring at the right time, one team getting their nose ahead at a crucial moment. That'll be the difference in a game like this. I don't see anybody really pulling away and winning comfortably. There's too much going on for that to happen.
And in fairness, the Porter experiment has been paying off, hasn't it?
Well, the scrum has been good. In fact, I think if you look at it on a balance, Ireland have probably just maybe a slight edge in there.
Yeah.
In that they're bringing a little bit of pressure on the Welsh put in. But again, not enough to cause a major problem. But Porter's certainly not in a place you'd worry about him. He's in a really good spot. He's scrummaging well. Our scrum is solid. They picked up one of our lineouts there. We've gone to Toner a lot. And the one time we went down the line to O'Mahony at a key moment, they picked it off. So you've got to be really careful at the lineout. And I think, Toller as a banker will use him. More important to have the ball than where you win it.
Absolutely. It doesn't need to be fancy or whatever. I mean, there was even an argument before this, and I was coming out of Leinster vibes, that Conan could start ahead of Standard, but the Standard has acquitted himself fairly well.
Oh, certainly in a game like this, where you're going to be very direct, and Ireland have been quite direct. Standard is the man. He's going to win collisions, and he'll do it and keep doing it for the 80 minutes. His work rate's colossal, so I think... Standard definitely the right selection there.
And even the loop play, we talked about it maybe or maybe not happening, but it's
the time. What they need to do is they need to pull the trigger on the loop play when Wales are down a few numbers.
Yes.
Because then Wales have to play soft. But if they pull the trigger on the loop play when Wales have numbers, they'll play up and in and they'll smash it. So I think, in fairness, Sexton's been smart when he's actually tried to use it. It's been a reasonable dividend, but at the same time, even when you see those line breaks, the one thing the Welsh do is they scramble brilliantly. So even when Earls broke out, when they swept back the short side and put Earls away, 3 or 4 phases later, they'd lost 30 or 40 metres, but Wales were back in control of their defence again. They were in the right places.
And Johnny left 8 points behind him. Do you think we rely... I know that was kicking and all the rest. Do you think we rely too much on Johnny?
Well, everybody relies on their place kickers.
I suppose, yeah.
It's a fact of life. I mean, you have to punish teams when they infringe, and I suppose it's very unusual for him to miss 3 kicks like that. It's just not his form. But funnily enough, the one that came off the post led to a scrum, which we scored a try from.
Yeah.
So the net benefit of that was probably a 4-point.
And would you? We don't want to play at the same tempo as them, obviously, but when we don't have the ball. But would you go for the old school and go for territory if you could to try and pin them backwards?
I think by and large that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But when we get into their half, we're playing very attritional rugby, which is fine. We just keep the ball and they're inclined to league penalties if we get a bit of momentum. And so I think the game plan is right here. Probably they'll kick themselves a bit for the missed kicks.
Yeah.
And they turned over a few balls in contact early in the game. And they will have to look at the defence. Like that Welsh try just came too easy. It was... it
definitely didn't look like something as Andy Farrell's stamp on it anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah, like we've lost literally 3 or 4 collisions and suddenly we're all over the place. And that no defensive system will work if you lose 3 or 4 collisions like that.
Absolutely.
You just can't recover. You can't get defenders around the corner. And I say the one thing worries me is that the ease at which Wales got that try.
Yeah.
And they haven't had too many opportunities. We've dominated territory as well as possession, which is the way to go. But the game is still in the hopper here despite everything.
Very good. I'm not sure, but Ashley, do we have any questions from anybody in the audience? By the way, if it's a really good question, it's going to be a free pint of Heineken in it for you. Does that sweeten the deal any? You got a question?
Hello.
How are you?
How are you, Eddie? If you could swap any number from Wales, swap players, take one of the Welsh players and put in the Irish team now, who would you swap over?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. Looking through the whole team, probably find hard to swap anybody. The one guy you might take Halfpenny for his range off the ground, like he's a 50-metre place kicker. But But in terms of playing ability around the field, no. I'm looking at the back row. No, Schindler's been impressive, but I'd still have O'Mahony.
Would you have Tipperick for Levy?
Yeah, Tipperick maybe is an out-and-out 7, but I think Levy's had a good game as well at the moment. If you're doing it at the moment, no, I wouldn't really. But I was surprised Tipperick didn't actually make a start in this game because of his ability over the ball at the breakdown. But having said that, no, I wouldn't. I don't know if there's anyone you could change it. It's that tight, really. You know, it really is that tight.
Great question. Thank you very much. I'd say there's a point coming your way. I'd say fair play to you. In the context of this is do or die really for Wales, isn't it? I mean, for us, obviously, we have our eyes on England, and everybody's been talking up the final, but you can't. It just goes to show you can't take your eye off anything for a second in this.
No, I mean, worst case scenario today, if we lose, we're still in the championship.
Yeah.
You know, the Triple Crown, the Grand Slam's off the table. It's off the table for Wales already.
Yeah.
So they're playing to survive the championship. If they lose today, you know, that's it. It's over. So there's more at stake for them.
It's a bit of a worry.
Right,
because they're not going to stop. They're not going to give up, you know, no matter, even if we score early in the second half, which could be very important to give us a little more breathing space.
Yeah.
They're still coming back, you know, and they'll come back and come back. So I think, this Welsh team know they're playing for survival at the moment, and it's very hard to beat a team who are playing like that. You know, they're fighting for their lives in terms of the championship.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose, for lads be playing, I mean, what's the pressure situation like? You'd be one of the few people that we'd ever get to talk to that's actually been involved in a full Six Nations run. I mean, what does the pressure running up to a game like this really feel like? Or do you reckon the lads were in a good headspace before? Because, I mean, to see Johnny leave 8 points behind him, you know?
Yeah, but there's no indication before the game that would have happened. It's very atypical of Sexton to miss those kicks.
Yeah.
It might be some glitch in his technique. Maybe he's taking his head up a little bit early. He's pushing the ball out to the right all the time. So you think they can fix that. And he seems to have adjusted anyway. The last 2 kicks were straight through the middle. So you just got to park those things and move on. You know, he's forgotten about those, because if he hasn't, they're going to be on your mind when you take the next kick. And he's professional enough to know that you don't go there.
Yeah.
You know, you can't change that. It's over. It's done. And the most important thing is the next kick that's in front of you. But I think what was great there is that Ireland had a good start but didn't capitalise on it.
Yeah.
And then Wales came back as they do and seemed to be in control of the game. And I think Ireland have wrestled control of the game back from Wales again now.
I suppose that showed maturity too, didn't it?
It does, yeah, but it's a game. It's kind of the game we're waiting for in the championship.
Because it's a proper arm wrestle, like, isn't it?
Nip and tuck arm wrestle. Like, no one is sure how this is going to turn out yet. This is right on the line. And I think it'll go all the way to the wire here.
What way do you reckon you'll see Joe using the bench? Obviously, I mean, Porter, he'll hardly do 80 minutes.
I think any substitutions today will be based on fellas getting tired.
Yeah.
Unless things are malfunctioning. Like, if you think that making a back row change, bringing Conan in might do something, but you know, if the units are working well and fellas aren't flagging, it's dangerous to break up their momentum or break up their cadence. You know, trying to keep the units together. So I think he'll be very slow to make substitutions unless he feels he needs to inject some fresh legs at a certain time, and that will happen probably. The pace of that game is quite intense. Fellas will flag a bit.
It's attritional.
So you'll be watching guys more for fatigue than anything else.
And what, I mean, just to kind of jump sideways a small bit, I mean, John Ryan is the backup to Porter. Do you think Stephen Archer can count himself a little unlucky given that he's starting ahead of Ryan? Or what's the reason behind it? Is it Ryan's experience?
Yeah, there's not much in it. Like, it's down to minutiae, and coaches have their own reasons. You know, you're trying to second guess the coach because at the end of the day, there's small little details that he sees over another. So it's very hard to tell from the outside looking in, you know.
Fantastic. I mean, the likes of Stockdale has kind of acquitted himself as well. He's gotten himself together, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. I mean, I don't know why Wales tried to kick the ball over his head on that cross kick. And he did the hard thing by catching it and then dropped it. But it was kind of an insane play, like to try and kick a ball over a guy's head who's 6'3". You know, I was just they started out Wales. They tried a few cross kicks. They got a penalty out of one where Harold's knocked it forward and Bundyaki played it. But I think they've stopped it because whatever about going to Errol's side of the field, going to Stockdale's side of the field makes no sense at all.
It's crazy. So teams are coming back out there now. What do you reckon will be first opening 5 minutes? What would you be happy with? to send these guys back out.
Well, if we can tag on another penalty here, give us a bit of breathing space. As the clock begins to run down, Wales have to take more risks.
Yeah.
And when they take more risks, they'll be vulnerable to making a mistake, and that could be the killing of the game.
Fantastic stuff. All right, well, it's all systems go. Right, we'll see you back after the game. Thank you very, very much. We'll see you in a bit. Thank you. Welcome back to Heineken Rugby Club Live here at Mount Oval. Fantastic. Ireland won. I'd love to, I want you to welcome back, please, Eddie O'Sullivan again. So we did it, Eddie. We did it. Whew. There was a few squeaky bum moments there, wasn't there?
Oh, my God, yeah. It was great to get there on the end, but I knew Wales would come back.
Yeah.
They always do, but the tries either side of half-time were huge.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, again, what's his name? Farrell. He was genuinely.
He had a huge amount of work today.
It was. He got the man of the match and deserved every bit of it.
Yeah. I mean, well, he could have picked another 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
The amount of work fellas got through, the amount of ball carrying. We played very direct, but it paid dividends. And we always looked like we'd score when we got down near the Welsh line.
Fantastic.
But I have to give credit to the Welsh. They came firing back. I mean, probably the 10 points is a bit generous. The end, you know.
Was it the game of the tournament so far?
By a mile, yeah. Best game in the championship by a mile, yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Right. And one more time, I'd like to give a round of applause and say thank you very much to Mr. Eddie O'Sullivan. Ireland have won. Let's press on for the Six Nations. I've been your host, Tom O'Mahony. Check out Heineken Rugby Club Live. Any pictures you're putting up today, why not hashtag them with Heineken Rugby Club Live? There'll be stuff given out free the whole time. Or check it out on HeinekenRugbyClub.com. We'll see you again till the next time. Bye-bye!